Ladies and gentlemen, fasten your seatbelts. Pizza time. Rent? Anybody ever take shop class? Yes. I am glad. Listen to me now. Avenge me! I had to say it. All right. What's up, everybody? Welcome back to The Heads Project. I'm John Ordalaza, and today we are going to be reviewing Spider-Man 2 from 2004, directed by Sam Raimi. It's his second film in the Sam Raimi trilogy of Spider-Man films, and we're going to be talking about the Amazing Spider-Man films next, and then Tom Holland's films, all in the lead up to Spider-Man No Way Home that comes out December 17th. But today we're talking about the classic that everyone loves, Spider-Man 2. I just had to throw in some of my favorite one-liners from this film because they're just so good. I use some of those to this day just as a joke in my day-to-day life. They just bring me so much happiness when I say them, and it just reminds me of all the times I used to binge watching Spider-Man films growing up, especially 1, 2, and 3. But today we're talking about the second film, and it stars Tobey Maguire once again as the web crawler himself, Peter Parker, Spider-Man, also returning James Franco and Kirsten Dunst as their characters from the first film. And our new antagonist is Dr. Octopus, Dr. Otto Octavius, played by Alfred Molina. This is the first, and I believe only time I've ever seen him, maybe in one other thing recently, I honestly don't know, but he's so good in here. He's so good. His portrayal as this character, as this doctor who's very sophisticated in the beginning and just really dope of a character. I just like his writing in here. He's so well put together, his character, and his descent into madness in this film. It's a little jarring at first, don't get me wrong. I gotta point some fingers where fingers need to be pointed at, and I think the turn is just a little too jarring. When you get the turn in the Spider-Man game, and I will be reviewing that soon, when you get the turn in that game, it feels a little bit more organic and a little bit more fleshed out. In here, it does scream, okay, we gotta get this going because he's the villain, he's gotta be, you know, breaking necks with his all 8 limbs by the end of the movie. So I can give it a pass because it is still a 2-hour film and they wanted to tell that arc. And I think they told it pretty well. It's just when you see the arc of Dr. Octopus play out in a video game that spans 12 plus hours, you can't help but think, all right, I like what they did there a lot better, to be honest. And I still like Alfred Molina's portrayal. He's still really good when he's the great sophisticated man in the beginning and then the madman at the end with the 8 limbs. He's great as both parts, don't get me wrong. It's just that middle part is so fast for me now after playing the game. And it's just a little jarring, but it's still really well done, I think. I didn't want to touch upon individual performances from the first film so much because the movie is like almost 20 years old. It's been out. Everyone has said so many things about it. I didn't want to just retrace people's steps, you know? But I will admit, Tobey Maguire is a lot better in this movie than I would say he was in the first movie. He wasn't bad in the first one, that's not what I'm saying. He's just so much better, and him being in a Spider-Man universe that's a little more lived in and his character is more lived in, I like it a lot better, and it actually fits. I can pass it off as, all right, he's maybe 21. Even though I know he was 29 when the movie was filmed, so I can make a pass because he's supposed to be a little bit older than he was in the first film when they were straight up just telling you, yo, that's an 18-year-old. And you better believe it. As I mentioned in my review for the first film, what I liked about that is the little bits of horror that we got, the horror elements we got with Green Goblin just weaved into there because, you know, Sam Raimi comes from a horror background. Again, I've only seen his Evil Dead films. I haven't seen anything else he's done. I heard good things about his other films, but I've only seen Spider-Man and Evil Dead films. And from what I've seen in the last year, because I only just recently watched Evil Dead, I saw little glimpses of that classic Sam Raimi interjected in Spider-Man, and especially in this one, dude. When I've heard people kind of make comparisons about the scene where Dr. Octopus's limbs come alive in the hospital and kill all the surgeons and whatnot, that kind of harkens back to what he's known for. Yeah, I think I know what people are talking about just a little bit when they say that now. Seeing how creepy he could build a scene where everyone's just getting tortured and killed in just a few moments from Evil Dead, I just really like that incorporated in a Spider-Man movie, especially Spider-Man. Again, I think it works. That is a creepy concept, to be bitten by a spider and now your body's changing and you have these new abilities, and they continue to explore that side of things in the sequel. I will say, out of all three of them. Now, this may be a bigger claim because I haven't seen Spider-Man 3 in a while. I will be rewatching it soon to do a review for it. But from my memory, out of all three of his films, this one seems to be the more drama heavy. It's got the more weight in it when it comes to drama and romance and just that type of stuff. The Peter side of stuff, the human side of things is just amplified to a T, and it's good. Don't get me wrong, I'm not saying it's garbage, but there's certain things in here that I think were overdone just a little bit. I'm talking about how there was a metaphor going on throughout the whole movie that the odds are stacked against Peter and his plate is full. He's not being able to be his true self. He can't do the things he wants to do at 100% capacity while saving the city as Spider-Man, as an alter ego, and keeping his identity a secret. I get that, and I love when movies do it, but when it's scene after scene after scene of, oh, I can't pay for a whole bouquet, here's 2 flowers. Oh, I can't grab an hors d'oeuvre because everyone else grabbed them and the waiter is a dick. Oh, I had to travel 42 blocks to deliver 8 pizzas, but then 2 of the pizza boxes combusted and I smell like mop water. Oh! Again, none of the scenes that contributed to that metaphor and that point that they were trying to get across in this film are unnecessary, in my opinion. They're not bad. They're all really good stuff. I feel like you could have cherry-picked the scenes and put a few of them in the film. They thought of all of these ideas, all these funny ideas, to have Peter down in his luck, and they just threw them all in the movie, I felt, and it was just going on a little too long. After the first 3, I got it. And it just kept happening and happening, and it was a little overdone, and honestly, it is a little bit of a detriment to me, and that's why Spider-Man 2 is not the best comic book movie of all time, in my opinion. It's just not. Spider-Man 1 isn't, and Spider-Man 2 is not. They are fantastic movies, excellent superhero flicks, but they're not the best of all time. I will say, there's a lot of things in the 2002 Spider-Man 1 that just get amplified and are even better in the second movie, and that's some of the CGI that they use. Remember how I mentioned the night scene, like right after Uncle Ben is found dead by Peter, he starts climbing the wall, and it's like we entered into the Matrix, from my knowledge, because I haven't seen the Matrix, so coming soon. They still do have CGI scenes in this movie, full-on CGI scenes where they recreated the character of Spider-Man and Doc Ock fighting, but it's not as present. And what's crazy to me is that the scenes in here that I'm referring to take place in the day. There's still some night scenes too, but there's, like I said, there's a lot more CGI in this movie, and a lot more CGI reimagined scenes where they literally just rebuild everything into CGI. And you could tell, you can, because I'm watching it on Blu-ray on a 4K TV. You can tell, and we're only going to get closer and closer to noticing these types of things when the 8K TVs start coming out on the market, and the what, 12Ks or whatever the hell comes after that. But you know what I mean. There's just so much of it in this movie, and it's so noticeable, but honestly, it doesn't look as terrible. If you're looking for it, you'll see it, but it's not going to be like in your face, oh wow, oh jeez, no, God, no. There was one scene in this movie that reminded me of the crappy CGI from the first movie, and it wasn't even that long. It lasted like 3 seconds. Everything in here, they hide pretty well, and they know how to mask it to not make it look so prevalent in front of your eyes, so that's good. I'll give the movie a plus for that. Action overall, let's dive into that now, is really good. I think Spider-Man and Doc Ock, they take it up a notch, and Sam Raimi outdoes himself from the first movie in this one. Like, the fight on the side of the building was really great when they were tossing Aunt May up and down trying to catch her and trying to kill her. And we can't not talk about the subway fight. I mean, good lord, that's some of the best stuff in the Spider-Man trilogy of the Sam Raimi films. Like, I love it, man. It's so good. I don't know if this is a color grading issue or just something intentional, but Spider-Man's suit in here comes across red and dark blue, if not black at times, similar to the Far From Home suit. I have no problem with it. I like the blue to pop too, you know? Blue's my favorite color. I want it to pop a little more on my Spider-Mans. And of course, this film is composed by the legendary Danny Elfman, who composed the first film score, as well as the original 1989's Batman score. Really great composer and really great music in this film. He just takes the dope beats that he crafted in the first film and just enhances them, makes them even better in this one, and creates a really good menacing theme for Doc Ock. It's very simple, but it's so effective when it starts playing. I love it, dude. I also love the little complexity that we get with Harry Osborn's character and his little arc that he has throughout all three films. How he's kind of a spoiled brat in the first one, and he's very upset, of course, that his father is now dead, and he carries that hatred for Spider-Man on into this film, and he's just left very broken, trying to hide it throughout the movie though, with his money, you know, and then he finally starts showing it when he got drunk at the one party scene. And at the very end, now he's seeing visions of his father telling him to avenge him, and which it leads to a really great, in my opinion, it's a good arc. I will say it's a good arc. I'm liking it. This is like one of my favorite parts of it, where he's slowly descending into madness. We already got that with Doc Ock in this film, like very quickly, but with Harry, I think it's masterfully done. Like, it's a slow burn, and it's a great way to build your villain for the third film. But we'll get to how they execute it in that movie. I don't want to get my thoughts away on that film yet. We're almost there, but overall, I think Spider-Man 2 is a step up from the first one. I would prefer to watch this one. It's got much more action, much more engaging action, honestly. It's more entertaining. Doc Ock is more of a versatile villain to Spider-Man than Green Goblin is, especially in the two movies. Maybe in the comics it's drastically different, I don't know. But in these two movies, it's Doc Ock for me all the way, man. Like, Alfred Molina kills it once again, and I'm beyond excited to see him return as the character, reprising his role in Spider-Man No Way Home. Let me know down below, what did you think of this film, if you've ever seen it. It's almost 20 years old. But yeah, leave a like and subscribe to the channel if you're new. Be sure to stick around. I am reviewing all of the Spider-Man films in the lead up to Spider-Man No Way Home, all of Sam Raimi's films, the Andrew Garfield duology, if that's what it's called, and then the Tom Holland's trilogy ending with No Way Home. I am going to exclude Into the Spider-Verse for now. We're going to save that for the build-up to Into the Spider-Verse 2 later on in 2022. So yeah, it's a lot of fun, a lot of content coming to the channel, and there's always more to come.